Welcome to Stasis Geek with my friend Sandy Q. So this is going to be a bit of fun, and yeah, it's a bit about biography. So this is cool. How do you feel about biography?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. We've
That's
chatted about these films and history so many times, and I'm just
yes.
happy to join you here so we can share our chats with everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna get a thing. So everybody, when we do say something, if you agree or disagree, because I'm going to guess we're going to go back and forth a lot of what is a biography and what isn't, because as we've said, it can be loosely just there's some that you might go, but it was a good film and it was loosely based on history or the person, or it was a subject in time that wasn't historically correct, but you love the movie all the same. So this is it's gonna be king. So I've not done it as my top 10, and I don't think Sandy has. This is our top recommendation. So I'm gonna do 10 and Sandy is gonna do 10, and we're gonna swap and change. So that's gonna be a bit of fun as well to see. Yeah, if we have any of the same. So that's going to be the good one. Or we completely disagree of why that is in the pick. But yeah, how
And
do
we
you?
have
Yeah,
not discussed our lists
no,
ahead of time. We
no.
haven't.
That's it. Yeah, that was the one specification. Don't, because I wouldn't be surprised because I it's going to be interesting to see if we have any that are the same or we've just gone completely off topic and we go no that shouldn't be one, or we're on cue, so that'd be good. But
We'll have a
yeah,
good debate. Good
yeah,
debate.
shall I start then?
I think you should
I
start.
think I'm going to start. So my first one, and this is one I think we kind of went for, is we could have this as a classic as well, because it's a very was it not it's a 1960s movie. So this is where, but it is British history, so it's
Mm-hmm.
like that. So that is thing. So it is a Sir Thomas More, about Sir Thomas More, and it's probably on your list with that, and it is A Man for All Seasons.
It was the first one on my list.
Yeah, there you
As you
go,
can
there you
see
go,
in the
tick
private
tick.
chat,
Is
I
it?
told you I was gonna type my first one and not hit send, and I hit send, and there it is.
There we go. So
There's
we've just
one
literally,
straight in.
that's it. But even now, I think this movie, as an how impactful it is very, very well written. It is not just the storyline, and yeah, you could say it's based that you don't know behind the scenes of certain things that happened in those cults, and you don't.
Yep.
But I love the struggle between faith, honor, and loyalty between the king and the Catholic faith and all that, and
Mhm.
and the political side of it, what was happening in England, at the time. So yeah, but it's very kind of forefront, hard hitting kind of movie, and it won loads of like Oscars and like every single award when it came out. But yeah, it was for me. Yeah, this is it would always be on my list. This wasn't even a I'm gonna be about it. This was literally coming in straight in. I think this was probably like the third one. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. But even with like Robert Shaw as like King Henry, they just play it like these are just great actors from the '60s. So yeah, it's just a great. Yeah, it might show Thomas More short period of time, but for what it understood about the uh his persona in for him, I think it did it really well. But so why did you pick it as well as your first one as well?
I could not agree more. I remember seeing this movie a few times, as a
Mm,
kid, and then as I got older, and it was one of the influences in my interest in history, and particularly Tudor England.
yeah.
And being raised and having gone to Catholic school, I knew the story of Saint Thomas More. We don't call him Sir
Mm,
Thomas More, he's Saint Thomas More.
yes, in the Catholic
And,
Church. Yeah,
we're
that
taught
was what in the 80s, or that wasn't that long ago. He
it
was made
wasn't too long ago.
because he's
No,
the
and
saint of politicians or something. He's something a saint of something. I can't remember what it is, but yeah.
yeah, but I guess, sometimes the church doesn't dig
Mm.
too deeply into historic fact, because if you really saw what he was really about, you might question that. But
Well, yes.
this is one where the performances just take the cake.
Yes.
You mentioned Robert Shaw. Robert Shaw is amazing. And
Mm.
another one of my favorite films, not in this category, is Jaws. So you got that. But when you look at Paul Schofield,
Yeah.
and it's Orson Welles is playing Thomas Woolsey.
Yes.
Those are some pretty amazing performances, and the
Mm.
story is very well told.
Well, Orson Welles, he looks haggard in it as well but he's like how he's gone into that character, I think is really hard hitting. It's like that because it just shows how he was at that time and he was holding back. But yeah, it was
It was tremendous. So
mm,
that movie, I was looking up all the awards. So that movie did win the Best Picture
Oscar, yeah,
Oscar, and
best
five
actor, wasn't it? So,
five others. Yes, Schofield won for Best Actor, and the director won for Best Director, and then the
yeah.
other awards were for costume. Those sort of things you
Yeah,
might
because
expect
I
from.
actually read trivia that Schofield didn't think he had any chance, so he didn't turn up. He didn't turn up,
Oh, he
and then
didn't. Oh, that's funny.
the Oscar got posted to him, and in transit, the Oscar got broke. I was like,
Really?
oh yeah, apparently got yeah. So they had to then of course they replaced it, but yeah,
Oh,
it got broke in transit.
that's
Like,
a fantastic
yeah.
story. That is such a great story.
Hi, Bendover.
Ben is
Yay,
here.
yay.
Hiya,
But
Ben.
yeah,
Well, that was an excellent choice, Days. Look, great
yeah.
minds think alike.
There we go. Maybe that's it. If we go 10 for 10, I'm going to be quite impressed, but I don't know. So, well, as it was my pick, you're going to have to now put another one,
I do
your
have to
next
put
one, in
another one. So,
another one, because that's going to now even it out. So
so
that was
this
it. So
one
that
was
was,
um this one was in the
ah,
middle of my list if I ranked them.
mm-hmm.
Uh but I picked Dragon, the
The
Bruce
Bruce
Lee
Lee story.
story.
All right. Yes.
It is a um it's well done. When I'm looking for a biographical movie, I'm looking to cover a large portion of the life. And I think we'll get
Yeah.
into that conversation with some of these movies, whether they really are just a slice of life based on an event, or whether they really are a biography of a
Mm-hmm.
person. And the movie Dragon, of course, was surrounded by the mysterious death of Bruce Lee. Being a young actor, and the myth sort of getting ahead of the history and the truth. And then you had the tragic death of his son, all of which were sort of foretold in one of the main themes of the movie Dragon. Dragon was
Yeah.
filmed before Brandon Lee passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there was just so much around that, that the movie was interesting. But then when I saw the movie, I thought, wow, this is really well done. I thought it was very well executed, amazingly acted. This was before CGI. The stunts were real. This is
Yeah.
Jason Scott Lee, no relation to Bruce
No.
Lee or Brandon
No.
Lee. Um, and it just told an amazing story based on a book by his former wife, Linda Lee.
Mm-hmm.
But it also portrayed the racism that he faced in Hollywood and his personal struggles. I
Yeah.
just thought it was really a really well-rounded movie.
Yeah. This was one of my honorable mentions.
Good.
Yeah, so it was on there. It just missed out because the only reason it didn't put this on my list is when they do the fantasy elements on it, with the dragon,
With the
like his
demon,
death.
yeah.
Yes, the demon dragon and all that. But the rest of it, like my niece, she's Hong Kong kind of half Hong Kong, and my stepmom's Vietnamese, so they're kind of
Mhm.
their stories kind of got told like through me, like about what they faced going to the I suppose the west side of it and that. But yeah, it is forefront in this when even he was top of his game, and I love that bit when they especially like the Americans kind of film studios didn't want him, and then he had to go back to Hong Kong to
Yeah.
kind of get back to it, but he had still that the American dream postponed onto him by his father, and it had that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that beginning bit, I love that. Where he gets told by when he's doing, "Do you want to be like a washer boy?" Isn't it? When he's doing all that in the
Yes.
things, and the woman goes, "You can either have this or you can have that," and then stop, dating all the women and all that. But it was good. I liked it because that was, the bit he was there when it was under British control, and how he got even treated by, the British there,
Yeah.
and then moving over. He still, he faced it from being at home, being kind of, with the British control, and then move into,
Mm-hmm.
the American dream, and then realizing no, the American dream is only really if you're, you're white, and it's kind of, that's a kind of forefront. But yeah, the love story in it, I love that. See, this would you, I it's hard because it's a good biography, but it's a very romantic story as well
It
into it.
is.
Yeah, how it's portrayed. But yeah, I do like this. Yeah, that's a good one.
It
I'll
is.
give
And
you
it's
that.
also a reminder that, for as big as the legend is,
Mm.
he really had very few films,
No, yeah,
but just had such an amazing impact on the movie industry. And again, unfortunately, now that practical effects and stunt work is pretty much almost gone, it gives us a greater appreciation for what he really accomplished in so few movies. I'm glad it's on your honorable
yeah,
mention
it
list.
was. But I say it's literally it was on there, so it was like kind of like, oh, do I? It's when you ooh and ah, and I'm guessing you did. Does it go on? Does it come off? But this one literally, yeah, cake just shy just came off. So yeah, but then we're gonna have that. Uh that's a good one. Yeah, I do. This is a movie where I can watch over and over again just because it's enjoyable as
You
well.
can.
It's not hard hitting. It's just a very I liked it. And it's kind of like heartwarming and really soulful and sorry at the end. You like when
It
they have the
is.
dialogue, when she does the voiceover about, they don't show, of course, how he died, but they kind of do the voiceover, about his life and all that. It's just like, oh, every time it just gets me. I'm like, oh, but yeah, a legend, I suppose. Yeah, in his
Absolute
own mind.
legend.
Yeah, yeah, cool. So I'm guessing it's mine next, isn't it?
It's your
Now,
turn.
my turn. Now this one ah, is. I guess in this one is going to be a loosely based one because it is. They have aspects of his life, and I would say it was lucky enough it was directed by somebody who was British, because I'm guessing if it wasn't, it would have gone hard in onto just one niche period of time. So my next one, and see if you agree, and I love this, it's Chaplin.
On my honorable mention list.
There you go. Yeah. So I just love this, but I am a Chaplin geek, and I think Richard Attenborough does it really well. He's not known for his directing style or anything like that, but and I think Robert Downey Jr. His portrayal of him goes really well. I it falls at the end a lot of it on the communism side of it, and not his film life. It's more portrayed of what he is in the movie. But I remember watching this and like watching it again, and I just loved it. And it's one of those ones that you could swing about, the historical facts of it, because a lot of it is cloak and dagger as well, and what Chaplin was, and that period of time is you're not gonna know 100%. But I think everybody in it, I just love the movie, so it's in there because I love it. That's why. But yeah, I'm glad another honorable mention then.
Well, I enjoyed the movie,
Mm,
and it is, it just fell out of my list. It is one that I can watch again and again.
mm.
I like stories about old Hollywood,
Yeah.
which will be reflected in some of my other choices. And I think Robert Downey Jr.'s performance is amazing. Again, he did some of the practical acrobatics himself.
Yeah.
The piece that falls apart for me. Now, this is a great way to tell a biography, right? A great way to tell a biography is to just depict the whole story from start to
Mm,
finish, or to have the narrator in the story. So, this is a movie where, Chaplin is narrating the story for someone who's writing his biography, and he's narrating it as an old person. Those few times when they clip to him as an old person, I don't know why, I can't
Yeah.
stand those clips.
No,
It's
they
too much makeup, I don't know what it is.
when was it done? Now let's have a look. 92. So maybe now, but yeah, there's ones where I think they wanted to focus in so much it got probably left at the the editor's table, a lot of it. So
Mhm.
it's a bit of a shame, but yeah.
I did
But
like it.
oh,
I enjoyed it. I thought they did a nice job with weaving in the
hand pink
historical
waving.
issues.
Hi, Darth.
Hey, Darth.
Yeah, Darth is here.
Hiya, Darth.
But yeah, it's yeah. If you take out those bits, yeah, this is one I can see where there's flaws, but I was like, no, I'm still putting it.
No, it's still
But yeah,
still an exceptional movie and an
hmm
exceptional performance. Now, I didn't look it up. Did he win any awards
I
for
don't
this?
think that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll just let's have a
Don't
little
know if
look.
he's won anything for that. Was an amazing
Uh,
performance.
no, doesn't look like it. I don't think they
No,
won.
you know what? It was sort of was it an independent film? Because it didn't make a big splash, at least here, until
No,
several years later, and it was streaming and,
yeah, I
you
think
know.
it got more hyped here because it was, Richard Attenborough's, and the Attenboroughs here are,
Okay.
yeah, very, very kind of loved, aren't they? So that thing, so yeah, I think it's a little bit different, but
That's
I
probably
think,
what it was.
yeah.
So remember,
Ooh.
Ben and Darth, you gotta give the thumbs up or thumbs down, Siskel and Ebert style, if you
Yes,
disagree or agree with our recommendations.
but yeah, so but yours, I see your next one. So,
I
ooh,
know this one's not on your list.
no, it's
So
not.
the next one is 84 Charing Cross Road. This is definitely a British film.
Oh,
It is about, most people haven't even heard of the film, um, an American writer during World War II was studying English literature and couldn't find real English lit books in American bookshops. And so she started correspondence with a bookshop owner in London. And the store was located at 84 Charing Cross Road. And the series of letters between her and not just the main manager of the bookshop, but everyone in the bookshop really depict two different perspectives on the
mm,
war and life at that time. You have, this New Yorker who just wants to read books, and she becomes an editor for a television show, and then you have Londoners who are living through the Blitz. And the letters are just a fantastic slice of life. She kept all the letters, and then she published all the letters into a series of books, one of which was made into a movie. There are other books about those parts of her life. Um, while it's not a complete biography, it covers the war, and then it covers about 10 or 12 years after the war. Um, it is so rich. I think letters are just such a dying art and so important to history.
yeah.
But just the correspondence back and forth, everything about what's going on in the war and her love of books and literature. And she's learning from the people at the bookshop about English history. And it's just such a wonderful story. This is one of those, I call it, home cooking. It's a feel good film. It's one you can pop on anytime, and just kind of feel good about the slice of life. If you're
I'm
ever, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm no, I was gonna say, I must say, just looking at the cast, I can't, I've not seen it. He's got like Dame Judi Dench, Anthony Hopkins, Ian McNeice. I'm like looking at it, like they have, these iconic British kind of stars in it. I'm like, I've never ever seen this.
Oh, you have to
So
see
I
it.
know. So yeah, it's gonna be, there you go. So yeah,
It's full
so
of A-listers,
yeah,
and
so bend over, don't worry, you're not much into Bargain movies. I didn't know that one. I did not know that one. So I'm learning as well.
it's a good one. And if you're ever in London and you go north from Leicester Square up Charing Cross Road, there is a plaque on the wall, a blue plaque at where number 84 used to be. It's a restaurant now, because that whole stretch used to be bookstores. And so there's a plaque memorializing that bookstore. So yeah, so if the it was not nominated for it wasn't big in the States, but it was nominated for a few BAFTAs, and Anne Bancroft did win the BAFTA for Best Actress. Dame Judy was nominated, and it was also nominated for Best Screenplay, but didn't win. So check that one out. 1987 for that movie.
Yeah, again, anybody who hasn't seen it, there it is. 1984. Yeah, I'm gonna go and check it out. I'm gonna get me and my girlfriend. That's the next movie we're gonna have to watch then.
Good. It's a feel good. It's a feel good.
Yeah. Though she feels creepy about Anthony Hopkins because of Silence of the Lambs now and again.
Don't we all? We do.
Yes. Well, then, yeah. So that's a good one. I've not heard it, so that's good. My next one annoys me because I know the period of history, and they romanticize too much of one person. Now, I would call the film is titled about one person, but it's about really three people in the movie itself. But the period of time they fixate on about the person is they make him out to be the good guy, even though he was in history very nasty, and they betray him in a well. But it has two great leads in it, and this is going to be my history one, and this is Mike. Oh, it's going to be Cromwell.
Ooh.
So Richard Harris and Alex Guinness. And this is things. Now, the reason I love it is because it's so intense. And Alex Guinness as Charles I is the absolutely amazing performance. He gets undershadowed because the film's called Cromwell and the period of thing. But this is more about Oliver Cromwell, Fairfax, and Charles I. And it's that revolved around those three. But in the movie, they don't really hit hard of why the war is happening. They kind of loosely base it on that Charles I is going back to Catholicism and all that. It's undermining the Church of England at the time. But it makes out, this is why I've got it, because it's a great historical piece, because it makes you probably go and look up about the Civil War. And that's all about, the Cavaliers and all that, the Roundheads, the Parliamentarians and all that period, and what is really deep and dark and really interesting. And yeah, it's good, but it shows a bit of the betrayal, but it only shows one side of the betrayal, the king to the people and to the parliament, not the other way around. And yeah, so I love it, and it's so a good history piece if you don't take it at face value, if you move on. So, but yeah.
Oh, Ben agrees with you.
Ben, yeah, it's a Oh, sorry, that one. Yeah, it's Cromwell is a good movie. Yeah, it's really, I find it a good movie. It's just those little nitpickings that I'm just go, oh, and I've got Civil War books. I love most Civil Wars. That it's a bit weird of history for me, but yeah, for the English one, it hopefully people watch it and then go, oh, I want to learn more, and then you find out the kind of the truth, like how horrid Oliver Cromwell was to after once he got the control, and the leading up to how he kind of backstabbed everyone, what was not shown in the movie, to get into his position, for his family, so it's a thing. But here we go. We talked about it. He was from the Norfolk area. They're like Cambridge or Norfolk area. So that, yeah, he had a very strong, we were talking about accents earlier. He had a very strong accent.
He was one of those.
He was one of those.
So this is the first movie we've discussed that I haven't seen.
Oh,
so I've heard of it, but I've never seen Cromwell. And again, I mean, these names, I have a feeling we're going to be seeing these names again, maybe in other names. But Sir Alec Guinness, Richard Harris, we talked about Attenborough, we talked about Anthony Hopkins. I mean, look at these names, these classic actors and wonderful performances. So I will have to check this out, because I know you can't go wrong with Alec Guinness and Richard Harris.
Oh, it is their performance in it. It's they are both on their game. It's like literally, Yeah, probably Richard Harris probably don't remember. He's probably drinking too much at the time, as he was known for.
They were
But
all
how he
having a ball
betrayed,
back then.
yeah, they know. But how he betrayed it, and he was quite good because he's like that kind of, you know, like figure. If like, oh, you know, and then you got the upper class of Charles the First, yeah, by Sir Alec Guinness, and it's just like, yeah, they're just, yeah. If you had to pick two leads at that era in the 70s, yeah, you couldn't have picked two better ones. I think, yeah,
Absolutely.
it is a good movie. But if you just want a war movie, it could be there, or you just want a loose, yeah, a biography, it is there as well. So, but yeah,
That's a
oh,
good
let's see your
recommendation.
next one.
On my list.
Oh,
I see a
now I
smile.
yes, I see a smile, but no, because you mentioned something the other day, and I was like, would you put this on because you mentioned something about this, and I was like, that
So
Shakespeare and everything. So
my next is Henry V, the Ken Branagh edition. This movie has a very personal meaning for me. This was the movie that my high school British literature teacher popped on the VCR and also influenced my life and my love of Shakespeare. So shout out to Sister Jane Kayer, who had us watch this, and I was hooked. Now, there's a larger conversation about how we take Shakespeare's histories, as history or not. With all histories, even those that are exaggerated, there's always a grain of truth. But by and large, you've got Richard III, Henry 4, 5, and 6. You've got, Shakespeare's histories, which give us such a window into the politics of the time, because Shakespeare was a man of the court and politics. um this movie, however, this film, I'm trying to use the word film, it just bleeds with love. Ken Branagh loves Shakespeare, and you
he knows.
feel
I
that.
must say, he knows how to do a Shakespearean movie. He does. He knows how to get the right feel to his
It
movies, like
is.
to when he does one. Yeah, it's yeah.
When you look at, the garbage that's coming out of studios today, that is just about money and dragging every last cent out of each IP. And then you see a movie made by a man who just did it for love. Absolutely, for the love of the subject and the love of the writer. You can't miss that. You can't ignore it. And the performances that he got out of people in this film is tremendous. Little known fact, Christian Bale's first role is in this movie, and he
Is it?
plays the
Oh,
boy. The boy
ah,
who is slaughtered at the Battle of Agincourt. He's 12 years old in the film. I think he's probably 15 in real life. But watch this film. That's Christian Bale. He has a
yeah,
couple of speaking parts too. But
yeah.
look at the cast of this movie. Talk about
Well,
here.
I was going to say this is one of those where if you're at the time and you're British and you were good stage, you went on this. I was just say like just going through the just quickly. You say you have Ian Holmes again, Dame
Hmm.
Judi Dench, and all that, and uh, Brian Blissett, and it's like that. Simon Shepherd, yeah, the kind of runner, and yeah, James Cinnamons, and it's just like the list just keeps like Robbie Coltrane's on this. It's just everybody that was anyone like British, like that, but they had like it's got a very young Emma Thompson in this,
It
and it's
was.
like yeah, so
She was
yeah, it's
Catherine.
yeah, so it's the nose and nose of he knew that if you cast, I think he does it all in his movie. That if you have a good stage present, you will work well on movies. I think he likes that kind of that artistry work of that. I think, yeah. But yeah, I like
He
this
does.
movie. It would to me, yeah, it's because it's Shakespeare and it's so loosely based on history. I wouldn't have
Hmm.
put this in my tier, but I understand completely. Yeah, Henry the Fifth is a good movie. But yeah, I wouldn't class it as biography. I don't know where I would place this, to be honest.
And
But
here's
mm,
why I leaned, because I had the same thought. Here's where I leaned toward biography, because the focus of the film is pre-Battle of Agincourt and post-Battle of
mm,
Agincourt, which is about 2.5 years. So is that biography? But this film weaves in some of Henry IV, which is young Hal, finding his way as king and having to distance himself from Falstaff and his, wayward friends. And so because that was woven in, I thought, well, it does cover a little more than just the battle. But one last thought on this film. Uh, it was nominated for 3 Oscars, not the one that I thought it should have been, which was adaptation, because
Yeah.
obviously adapting Shakespeare isn't easy. Branagh was nominated for Best Actor but didn't win. It won for Best Costume Design,
Mm.
but sound as well. So just before the battle, as the horses are lining up and they're just starting to engage with the French, the film goes silent. The sound goes silent, and when you're watching it the first time, you think, "Oh, what happened to the sound?" But then you realize what they've done,
Yeah.
and the music, which was rising toward a crescendo, just stops, and all you hear are the hoofs. And then you start to hear the swords clanking, and then you
Hey,
start to
the
hear the
beast.
screams. And I think that was such an effective technique
Cute.
for a
Yeah.
battle scene. I enjoy the movie, and
Yeah. It is a good. I like the movie. I just wouldn't place it into this category. If that, yeah. But
all right. So, what's your
yeah,
next
my
choice?
next one is now. I'm guessing the gentleman I'm going to put up there has had a lot of biographies, and this is a very small part of the history, but it was such a good movie. It was so, when I first watched it, I got recommended it, and I was like, oh, it's going to be just another about the guy. Yeah, same old. But this is so hard hitting, and it just showed what it was with the period of time around the situation. And yeah, it just, I like, yeah, you're gonna know the person of history. So let's just get it up here, and then if it's thing down, it's my only foreign one I've got here, and it's Downfall. So this about Adolf Hitler at the end of him in the kind of the bunker situation of literally. So when I watched this, I was blown away of this different take of, you're going to get the kind of the history of the Second World War, Adolf Hitler. But this just took it to a very dark undertone, kind of hard hitting of like what was going on in his must have been going on in his mind, and at the downfall of his reign, I suppose, of like that, and actually just seeing it come for the forefront of the in movie format. And so because the historians and everything's gone what bits were happening around, but it's good to see kind of this part of the like that kind of, I suppose, like inner circle, I suppose you would say, of like what wasn't really shown. And I think the portrayal of this, as a in this format, I think I just really enjoyed it. And I think it was just, it was really hard hitting just to see, you didn't feel sorry, but it was just showing them the final days, of like everybody surrounding, and him still trying to fight back and still think, yes, I can do it. But the downfall of Hitler. Yeah, so that's
What year
one of
was
my
this movie released?
2004.
Because
So
it wasn't. I don't know if it was released here. I don't recognize it at all. I've not
ah,
seen it, but now I'm intrigued. Now I'll have to look it up.
yeah, it is a very good, really strong kind of like war. It's very hard hitting. It's like, it's it's one of the best if you just want to kind of like around what the Germans kind of were thinking, that kind of that moment when whilst the things where the Russians are coming in and they're literally, we can't do absolutely anything, and him just, it shows Hitler just slowly, being kind of arrogant. No, we can still do it, we've still got a chance, and then just losing his faith, I
Mhm.
suppose, within his own regime. But yeah, it's German, so it's in. I think the production company is German, so it's in like German, like that. So yeah, so It's
I'll have to look it up.
very, very, yeah. I don't know if they do dubbed. I watched it with subtitles, to be honest, but
I
yeah, it
prefer
still comes across.
subtitles.
Yeah, I think with the guy who's the main who plays Adolf Hitler, he's just so well at his things and he just portrays it
Yeah.
well. And I think because if it was dubbed into English, I don't think it would come across so hard. And how he does, the portrayal of Adolf Hitler in, of course, that Austrian German accent. It's very really strong, and it kind of, that's what it was. So it kind of comes like that fury of what Hitler must have been. So that's one of mine. Yeah,
That's why I prefer subtitles, because you have to get
yeah,
the feeling from the performance,
hmm
and you don't get that with many
no,
dubs. Sometimes you do, but I prefer the subtitles.
yeah,
I don't mind. All right.
nah. Now I
My
don't
next.
even. I don't have to actually put this in and actually find it because it was on my list also.
It's on
So
your list.
listen, my
Wow.
list.
Why does this surprise me a proper Englishman will have this movie? So, Yankee Doodle Dandy with James Cagney is the story of the life of George M. Cohan, who was a, a, a lyricist and musician and a composer of mostly patriotic music. The way he served our nation during World War One was to write patriotic music. Over there, Yankee Doodle
Yeah.
Dandy, You're a Grand Old Flag. They all kind of sound alike. But this is an example of life imitating art, imitating life,
Mm.
because this movie was released in 1942 in the midst of the Second World War, about a patriot during the First World War. And his way of serving the country was to entertain the troops and keep morale up and really energize everyone and keep our nation together. And then to release the story of his life during the Second World War also served that purpose. So all the songs became popular again. And, the movie is told using the stories woven into to the film. The film is based on a musical, and the musical, there's still a musical, even on Broadway today, or maybe off Broadway, the Yankee Doodle Dandy. So it's all about the music. It won 3 Oscars. James Cagney won for Best Actor. The There's also a little side story to this film, in that Cagney became a target of the Committee on Anti-American Activities, the ones that were
Yeah.
rooting out the communists, similar to the theme in Chaplin. And there's a story that Cagney jumped at the chance to prove his patriotism by playing George M. Cohan in this movie and to get the committee off his back. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's true or not, but that's one of the
That would be a
stories.
great fact if it was. That's a
And of
good one.
course, it won for best music and best
Mm.
sound as well. So, James, why is this on your list? Tell me.
This is, I gotta have to go back to my stepdad because he was highly into American culture, and it is one of those ones that I remembered, and like my stepdad and my granddad watching when I was younger, and I just loved it. But I remember, and it's probably very relevant to today. I remember it gave you in like that kind of, as outside America, that what America had always been shouting at. That I've said it before, the American dream.
Yep.
Like look at us. If we stand as one, we can do anything. We can achieve anything. You can all
Yes.
strive from it. And it's that story of like, this could be classed as a musical, and I understand why people do that. But the story behind it, that no, we've all got to get be together for America. It's
Mhm.
like, it's all about, and do it. This plays it as through song, through Broadway and all that. But when they're not doing that, and what they're kind of the narrative about that, it is about, that American story that what at that time period everybody was looking to, the all the I suppose the Europeans, like under 1942, were hard in the war to get this, where you go, oh, there's still hope, and it could be coming from across the seas.
Yes.
And it's like, look what we did, and the support from the First World War and all that. So it gives that kind of that hope that like what America, like if you're outside America, should stand for, that the dream. And it's it's
Mhm.
I watched it recently, of course, for this, and it just kind of gives you that, oh, you know, that's what America should be like. You know, that's what, you know, all the bells and whistles and all that. And it's kind of, it'd be relevant for most Americans to rewatch this more than what it was, you know, to promote the goodwill between the Europeans at the time. So
Yeah.
it's good, and it's just a damn good, fun, smiley, good
It's a
movie as well.
feel good. It is
Yeah, it's a
such a feel
feel good.
good.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
yeah, so this one, yeah, it was one more nostalgic as well, but it
Yeah,
does. When I rewatched it, I was like, oh, this is really relevant to today.
it is.
So with the political drama, what we see as Europeans, you know, over the over the pond, it's yeah, it was, it's yeah, good one. But yeah,
Well,
so yeah,
yay,
go
we agree
do
for
we
sure.
agree? Yeah, so we had a two on the list. Now my next one is a very hard hitting one. Now I'm not going to give it away, but this it's very hard hitting. Now it's not about, I suppose, about somebody who is known as a celebrity or famous, but it is based about the imprisonment of somebody
Mhm.
that shouldn't have been imprisoned. Now it is a great movie. Daniel Day Lewis, In the
Mm.
Name of My Father.
Mhm.
So this is, anybody hasn't seen it, it's like about um coerced IRA bombers, kind of, well, you know, they weren't IRA bombers, and then they got coerced by the police to get somebody who was Irish, who was in, you know, in the area, to kind of, you know, take the hit, take the numbers, because they didn't know who did the bombings. So
Mhm.
this is from that. But even though Daniel Day Lewis is the main kind of, it's on the poster, but Peter Postlethwaite, his
Oh,
portrayal of his
yeah.
father in this is absolutely brilliant, because it's about, yeah, there's other elements to it, say like Emma Thompson, yeah, she's in it, but those Daniel Day Lewis and Peter Postlethwaite, are them two together, you know, whilst they're going like uh being kind of subjugated to like this hell in prison, and they're completely innocent, and you know what happens to them, and like what they do to kind of over struggle it. And then of course the spoilers if nobody's seen this, because it's a very very British movie, I suppose, is it is a they're them to gain freedom, and of course the father kind of, yep, succumbs to his like his health in
Mhm.
prison, and kind of succumbs to it, to death and like that. But it's just, it shows how that period of time was so havoc for the British with the IRA bombings, and what the police just was kind of like being politically thrown at to just get somebody. And then they
Yeah.
just went, they're Irish, let's put them in jail. And it was that kind of, well, they're Irish, so they must have done it. And it was kind of, you know, and not looking at any of the truth or not that, and then just going, throw the doors, lock them away, and that's it. But the betrayal of this, like, of this hopeful Irishman going, you know, going into England, and then, yeah, just wrong place at the wrong time, kind of just, yeah, and then slammed into a jail cell, and then, yeah, key thrown. It's a very, very hard but interesting one to watch, because it just shows a good, yeah, more of about a period of time, but about, you know, the actual what happened.
It's
So
a
yeah.
great pick. It's
Hmm.
not on my list, and I have to be honest that I completely forgot about it. I didn't put it on my honorable mention list,
Hmm.
and I'm not sure why. I did. I saw it quite a while ago, and now you're making me want to take another look at it, because that whole period of history, for those of us not in Ireland or England or the United Kingdom, that was just something we saw on television, and it was so far away from us that it didn't really, impact us. And I was a little kid, and there was this thing with Ireland and Northern Ireland, and why were they two different places but on the same island? And it reminds us that's very still recent in our history.
Yeah.
It's not that
Well,
long
yeah,
ago.
I know when I it's probably like, because I know that because I'm a Londoner, no bad
Yeah.
accent. It's like I remember my mum was a florist, and she used to have to go into London and do all the plants and, like, the flowers. And sometimes she would take me along, and they would have the iron wall, and then we went through just as one of the bombs like that. She had to get all, like, her troughs out because they said
Oh my
they need to
gosh.
clear the area. So she
Yeah.
took me there, and it's literally just to see all the, like, the office buildings completely, all the windows completely gone, and you're like, what has just happened? And, like, as a young, not really understanding it, but then
Yeah.
later you're like, I witnessed, what you witnessed. And, like, even with, like, the police stopping all the cars and all that, and checking who you are, and having to do stop checks when you got into the Westminster, City of London area. It's just, it's people forget it not that long ago that
Not
was
that long
happening, like,
ago.
in
Really.
into London. But this is a good hard hitting one to watch.
I'm gonna
But
give
yeah,
that
it's
a
good.
rewatch. It's been way too long since I took a look at that movie. And Daniel Day-Lewis, of course, his name may come up again today as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
Oh, yeah.
talking about great performances, and any film, we're that makes an impact, for Biography specifically, we're taking that extra layer to see how true it is to history. But in any film, the performance and the writing have to be top notch. Now,
Mhm.
here's a movie that doesn't have the greatest performances or writing. In fact, it was nominated and won the Razzie Award, that's the complete opposite of an
Yeah.
Oscar award. It is, was the worst movie of 1981, and that's Mommy Dearest. Now, why on earth is this on my list? Um, so, Mommy Dearest is the story of Joan Crawford, a very famous Hollywood actress, told through the lens of her slightly biased and vengeful daughter, Christina Crawford. It was a best selling novel called Mommy Dearest, written by her daughter to basically just tear her apart. Yeah, there's some truth to it. Certainly, Joan Crawford was a high strung, is a good word for her. Somewhat troubled, but highly successful and amazing actress. The movie itself, the story is highly questionable. The performances are over the top. Faye Dunaway plays Joan Crawford, and she really went into kind of a pastiche. That this turned into a cult classic because it's
Mm.
so badly acted. But what I like about it and why it's on my list is the movie was in the 1980s, but it is done in the style of old Hollywood. And that's what they did capture. They captured the opulence of old Hollywood, the old combination of austere actors and the glamour mixed into it, and the ridiculousness of new wealth, which is, what old Hollywood was all about, the nouveau riche. The the story itself just made me want to learn more about Joan Crawford and see her movies, which then made me a huge Joan Crawford fan. So Christina Crawford actually accomplished probably exactly the opposite of what she wanted to do through this book and movie, which was to tear her
Yeah.
mother down. It made many people sympathetic to her. It made me find other movies, and I put this on my list because, you know what, a good book, a good story, a good film will lead you to look at other things and want to learn more. And that's what this movie did for me. So this was the
Yeah.
one when I said to James, I said, I'm going to get laughed at for one of these. This is the one I know I'm going to get laughed at.
I must say, I've never heard of this. This must be, I'd say it's not that. It's 1989, so I don't know if must have got a very good reception over here. It's very
Probably
niche.
not.
I've never heard of it. So it's like that. So this would be one from a girlfriend if I say she likes this. So I might have to swing it to her and watch it. But
I'm not
it's
surprised it's not on your list. Not surprised
yeah.
at all.
But yeah, it's another one. But another one I'm gonna have to check out. So that's it. So we got 2 for 1. I think Cromwell for me, for you to watch, and then me 18
84
for
Charing
Karen
Cross.
Crown Cross, and then this one. So there we go. But the next one, now I think this is going to be. It could be on your list. This one could be, and it is another Daniel Day-Lewis one. So it might
I
be on
wonder
your
what
list.
it might
What it is.
be.
Now this one I find fantastic. It is. I don't know. Is it My Left Foot?
Oh, no,
Oh
that's not on my
no!
list.
My Left Foot. say the history of Christy Brown, as it says there. Now, this one, when I watched it, when I originally watched it, and you watch it again, it is hard. It is a, it's about somebody who's never seen it. It's got main character's got cerebral palsy. So, have you ever seen this?
I've not heard
Oh,
of it, but I've never seen it.
so he got cerebral palsy. He was in portrayed into this. He learns how to paint and write with
Mm,
his left foot, of course. So he got no control with any of the really the limbs. He's looked after in his like Irish family, poor, poor family,
mhm,
and it shows not just his like struggles, being locked in and then only having the access to his foot, but then how having that intellect and having that creativity that you can't unleash and all that. But then you've got like parallel to that, you've got this story of kind of what did a family do. It's
mhm,
based in it like that time where you didn't have that social support network. You don't have that I suppose like health system that can help it. It was literally the father goes to work, have enough kids, get and get all the boys going to work whilst the mum kind of looks after their kid growing up with this, I suppose as they would class it, like this disability that could
mhm,
would be you're not gonna get to anything you're having this. You might as well take you out the back and shoot you kind of thing. And that's what the film portrays. And it's just like, and then realizing when he's got this talent, he's got this writing ability, and it's just yeah. And Daniel Day-Lewis, yeah, he's young in this, but this is a great performance by him, because he's having to played kind of locked in all the way through. And even with like there's the kid, the actor who plays him as a kid, it's good. But it just it's from his mother, like how that interaction with his mother, the love there of some like that, and then just seeing this intelligence but unable to bring it out there in like
mhm.
with his intelligence and even his humanity. It's just really good. And it's like, yeah, it's you see it like how the society, it would be very different now, but everybody, he's a vegetable, he's worthless, they just everybody's there like just Mickey taking, at
Mhm.
one point. But yeah, he's got this mental amazing talent that I'm going to learn through his left foot. But yeah, it's a very good, yeah, very unique story. But yeah, it's a great one. If anybody wants to sit down and go, that was a movie, this is one that I would go and have a watch.
I am adding that to
Yeah,
my
yeah.
list for
Hey,
sure.
Kasu. Yeah, but yeah, it's one, yeah, I would say if I had to say which one to watch that you're going to get the most out of is this, just because
Watch this one.
Daniel Day-Lewis, this is probably like there he does some great performances. This is, I would say, is he's number one for that. But
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well, continuing
it's a highly rated movie for me. Now I'm guessing I know your next one. Yes, I just saw it and I was like, I know what it is then.
continuing on the theme of Mr. Daniel Day-Lewis, this one is troublesome for me for a lot of reasons. I think you and I have talked about why,
Mhm.
but it's Lincoln. Lincoln is based on the best-selling novel by a wonderful historian that I really look up to, Doris Kearns Goodwin. The book's called Team of Rivals, and it's really about just a short period of time in American
Mm,
history. And that's why, again, this is not a full life story of Abraham Lincoln. This is about the years around the American Civil War. So, maybe a few years before. So we're talking 6 years. And but I went back and forth and I thought to myself, well, it's not about enough of his life to be a biography. It's about a period of history. However, it's about a period of history completely shaped by Lincoln's character.
mm,
Lincoln's ability to build that team of rivals, which is the name of the book, Lincoln's ability to convey and convince and persuade people who are at odds with each other. And I'm not speaking of the North and the South, who were certainly at odds with each other, but all of the politicians on the Union side were all at odds with each other about how to progress this war or end the war or prosecute the war. Or uh, it was really down to Lincoln. This movie and book are incredibly historically accurate. um, Doris Kearns Goodwin, her books are highly footnoted, which I absolutely love. I've used her books to help me find other resources of research. This is my period of history that I tend to gravitate toward. It's my thing, the American Civil War. And I can't say enough about the performances. In addition to Daniel Day-Lewis, you've got Sally Field doing an amazing Mary Todd Lincoln.
Yeah.
A very underrated actor, David Strathairn, because he's mostly a stage actor, but in the movies that he's in, he is amazing. Tommy Lee Jones, Hal Holbrook, just a whole host. Obviously, Daniel Day-Lewis won the Oscar that year, but this did not win Best Picture. The movie Argo won Best Picture that year. It received 12 nominations, but only won 2 Oscars. This is 2012, not that long ago, about 11 years ago. And it really holds up. I've watched it 4 times. So what do you think about this one?
I like the movie, and I think that it is very, as you say, it's a very short period of time, and it plays on, I suppose, the best phrase to call it is like the House of Cards. Is like that is like how the political movement in America at the time, and it was literally within their own political parties, and how it's manipulation and also coercing your own ideals to get the right outcome. And I love that bit of it. Like, and it's probably me being greedy. I wanted them to delve more into the family side of it, with Mary and all that. It just jumps over that and just goes, very much on the political side. And I just wanted a bit more of Lincoln, if that makes sense. It's a bit like the family, what was going on there and how it struggles. But as a movie, you can watch this over and over again and it will never bore you. But I wanted more, and I think we both like this. Well, 100%. We both like this a period of time, and one of those movies I wish was another 3 hours.
Yes,
it's like that. It could have been, like it's just you got so much of it's not just about the North and South on this, but it would, it feels like they wanted to condense it so much into that kind of Oscar worthy movie. They just ripped a little bit too much of the historical bits out that would have been so much more relevant to this period of time. What could have made Lincoln, Lincoln, if that means what he said. But I love it. It didn't. It's on my honorable mentions, so it was up there.
Good.
But I couldn't have 3 Daniel Day-Lewis, so that's why.
But see, that's another part of this conversation is who can pull off biography, which we could have a whole other stream on. The fact that there are certain actors, right, that we're going to see over and over again because they can inhabit a role, because they can really become that person. And one of them, maybe one of the greatest of all time is Daniel Day-Lewis. On your comment about the family, very valid. The book does go into the family, especially Lincoln's relationship with Robert and his relationship with Mary and her relationship with the children. But you're right, it could have been another 3 hours, but they wouldn't make it another 3 hours. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
Clissu's got a very important bit of news though. Sandy owes me a pizza.
I do.
Yes, I've heard what's going on the back there. So Clissu,
Clissu burned his pizza because he was helping me. Some idiot hijacked my Steam account today, and Clissu's been helping me. And I owe you more than a pizza, Clissu. Thank you so much.
Is it? I can send you a ham and pineapple. It'd probably be cheaper for me to send it from here. But yes, it is a shame when they have to cut so much content out to change history to qualify for an Oscar, etc. I think there is, if you look at other great documentaries or even really long war movies, probably much they go on for longer. But I think there is a category I think they have to fit in, like for like Oscar worthiness, I suppose. I think it's you don't get intermissions anymore, but this movie could have done
Yeah.
with another bit and another intermission.
It could have.
But yeah, I say it. No response. Yeah, there we go. We're getting Clisu updates as well. So no response from
Oh,
Steam yet.
thank you,
There we go.
Clisu. That's all I can hope
Legend,
for.
legend. That's good. Mine's is next. Mine is the next one. Okay, this one is probably now it is sports related, but it is about two people, and I don't like the sport.
Really?
But I don't like what it's about.
I
But
think I know what this
I like
is.
that. Which no more maybe,
I
but
don't
it's
know.
also based the one of the there's two people it's based on, and it's about a rivalry, and it is Rush. So, but probably not what you're thinking.
Not
So
the
it's
one I
Ron
thought.
Ron Howard, and it's about James Hunt and Nicky Lauda, and it's
Yeah.
about their rivalry and what happened to Nicky Lauda. And anybody doesn't know about, he was in a terrible
Yeah.
accident, and burns and all that, and he just went on to surpass James Hunt, who kind of was the up and coming playboy, Chris Helmsworth. He kind of gives that vibe, that playboy era of the 70s, Formula One. And then you have this, not so good looking driver, Nicky Lauda, who's all about the technology, how to get better at sport, instead of just, going off with the Playgirl models and then having a cigarette and all that. It's thing. So, but yeah, it was if you ever want to watch the accident, it's Chris, a terrible F1 accident. It's actually, when you see it in like the cuts to it, is actually horrific. You're like, oh, and how did he survive? But yeah, he did so much for like aviation, but this just it's very good, like Lauda, he's like missed in history, but he did so much of, say, for aviation and all that, not just Formula One. But it's a great movie, and it shows the difference between how two competitors work off each other. And but I don't like racing, I don't like Formula One. But I love this movie, because it's more about Nicky Lauda. I think he's like his life story, and like is very heartbreaking, because what he could have done without this injury that happened to him, even more than he did achieve. So yeah, I think this is a top. It's actually it's fast patched, because you got the kind of the formula a bit of aspect to it, but it's just, it's weird, but it's it's a Ron Howard movie, so it's kind of so. But
It's not on
it's
my list. I went past it when I was looking up. I haven't seen it. I went past it when I was kind of looking up some biographies, and I was surprised that it was a Ron Howard film, because I thought, well, I would have heard it. But maybe it's because here in the US, Formula One is not very
not so good.
popular. But now I will definitely check it out.
Yeah, it is. Well, I say it does have. I say that I don't like racing at all. That kind of any racing. I've never have. I'm not a motorhead or whatever, like what they call gearhead. But this, it's more about those two,
About
of
the
how
people.
about the people, is like how one went that way and one went that way, but they were in it together, rivals at the time, and they're like kind of that. I suppose rivalry, friendship as well, being bought out of it. So it was it's a worth a watch, I would say, definitely.
Oh, I put it on my. You're giving me a list to
Ah,
come back and have some homework to take home.
hmm.
All right, the next one.
Next one.
It's the obvious one. I have to do it because I do honestly adore this movie. If I had to rank them, this would be number one, and it
Really?
would be number one by far. It is Amadeus. It is on many lists at or near the top. And it's the combination, again, of the performances, the overall theatrical experience that mirrored, you know, the life that Amadeus was in the middle of, but oblivious to. You know, he was doing his own thing, obviously. You know, a complete savant, a genius that, you know, just outshone everyone. um, I like the device of using the unreliable, reliable narrator as Salieri telling the story to, you know, allegedly alleviate his soul from his guilt at the end of his life for the way that he treated Amadeus, but really not, still harboring, you know, all that jealousy that poisoned his life. It's not a very good portrayal of Salieri's life. I'll give it that. You know, it is not. It's unfair to Salieri. Um, but overall, the complete experience of this film, and again weaving in the music and the story behind the music, I think is masterfully done. It won the awards it definitely deserved to win: Best Picture, Best Actor, on the part of Murray Abraham, and a whole slew of other awards. And it also kindled many people's passion for Mozart and for classical music. What say you, James?
I completely forgot about this movie, and it would have probably been on my list. When you said it, I was like, "Oh my no, I forgot about it." Don't know why. It just, you know, it's one of those ones where you're like, it would have gone on. That would have gone on. That could have taken. Yeah. So, yeah, it's everything you say, but it's just it, it's that kind of like, I like that period dramas, I suppose, as well. So that
Mm-hmm.
helps with this one. It's very good. But yeah, if you don't have to like classical music, I do. So, but
You don't.
I
Yeah, you don't have to
you
like it
don't
to
need
like
to
the
do it,
music.
because
No.
yeah, if I haven't seen it, I must say, in years, but yeah, it's all about, you know, the with, you know, Mozart and all that, and all the music, like the music and all that. It's, you know, it. I'm gonna have to go and watch it again. It's like that
Mm-hmm.
because it's like triggering, but I can't remember too much of it. I just remember, oh, that is a damn good movie, and that's it. But now I'm gonna have to go back, because it must have been, oh, 20 plus years since I
Oh,
saw it. So it's like that. What is it? 80s maybe, isn't it?
1984. Now,
There
the
you go.
80s, when I look at my list, a lot of these movies were in the 80s. There must have been a rush of, you know, biopics. I hate that
Mm,
word. Uh, you know, coming out in the 80s, but that was 1984,
yeah.
and a
Dan
wonderful
Dover, you got
soundtrack.
some good
Mhm.
taste there. There you
Oh,
go.
Wagner for
Wang.
sure.
Yes. That's it. Yeah. There we go. Greatest classical composers in next week.
Yeah. Well, when you know, talk about Wagner and, you know, Amadeus and Mozart, it's the full experience. It is the
Yeah.
opera. You know, the opera is the center of it because it's the full experience. The music is amazing, but you have to have the visuals as well, and that's what, you know, that's what the whole movie kind of encapsulates. So
Mm.
yeah, go watch it. You got to watch
Yeah.
Amadeus.
Yeah. I'd rewatch it. That. Yeah. That would. Yeah. 100% would have been on my list. Yeah. Excellent. Good. Cool. Yeah. Anybody hasn't seen it, that is a must. A must. So yeah. There you go. Everybody's now sprinting off their things. I bit of
Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky. Yeah, I don't know that everybody know what you meant. That might not be how you spell it, but everybody understood. Yeah,
Tchaikovsky ski.
yeah, yeah. My next one is music. The only, I think, was set for, I suppose, Yankee Doodle Dandy, but it is music based. Now, this one, you're gonna have to love the music in it, because how it's portrayed is very heavy on it, and it's a Oliver Stone, The Doors. So
That's
Val
a
Kilmer, The
good
Doors.
film.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a now the only criticism I have with this film, it's very long, and you can tell Oliver Stone. Yeah, he does a great directing. Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison is absolutely on point.
He
He
nailed it.
literally nailed it. Yeah, it's just a bit long, but if you don't like the Doors music, it's blatantly obvious Oliver Stone did, because
Mhm.
it's very heavy in the musical time. But if you want to see one about the Doors, or probably even Jim Morrison. This is probably a bit squiffy, I suppose the best way to put it, because this really is about the hardship of somebody who has their own demons,
Mm-hmm.
of how it shows that I suppose the leeches will get on top of anyone, here's the drugs, here's the drink,
Yep.
all that, and not support somebody. They're literally feeding the persona of your greatness, even though you need kind of the help, and he never got it. But this I would hate to say how many times I've watched this, because I like the Doors, and this, I love this movie. So it's a winner for me, and it's my only real about band music ones I've actually got on here. But it's a must for me. I do think it is very, very good. But I had to look, and my girlfriend told me it bombed at the cinema, and I think the
It
problem
did
with that
here.
is
Mm-hmm.
it was too long. And I think the Doors probably had their moment when it was released in the 90s. It probably wasn't as relevant, but you had Oliver Stone, very well directed. And Val Kilmer, I say, he nailed that. But that's one of mine. Yeah. So that's mine.
It's on my honorable mention list.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that, again, I thought Val Kilmer was unbelievable. And I like the music. So the music was great for me. Yeah, I guess it was a little long. I don't think I thought it was when I saw the film, but definitely on my honorable mention list.
Mm. Yeah.
All right.
So
Um,
because it goes too long.
yeah, a lot of
3
movies
hours.
today are too long.
Yeah.
Way too
Yeah.
long.
Let's have a look. So what's your? Let
So
me
my
just.
next one, there are people who don't realize this is a biography.
Yes.
And this is Goodfellas. This is the biography of Henry Hill. Again, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
reliable or not, it is the story he tells. Uh, Henry Hill was a real person, is a real person. I think he's still alive, a real person. The
He's got to
book,
be old if he is, isn't he?
yeah, the book about his life is called Wise Guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it does cover his entire life because it begins when he was a kid. And he says, as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be, a wise guy. I probably misquoted that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The performances, again, fantastic performances. Ray Liotta nails it, absolutely nails it. Everyone else, you got Lorraine Bracco playing Karen. A lot of the actors from Goodfellas you'll also find in Casino, and then you'll also find them in The Sopranos. For me, though, this is Scorsese's best film, and it is such a shame
Oh
that
yeah,
this
I
one didn't
agree.
this one didn't win the Oscar. And when he got the Oscar for The Departed, there was a lot of talk of, well, this was a makeup because The Departed may not have been his best film, but he didn't get it for Goodfellas, and he should have. It was an unfortunate year for Goodfellas because they were up against so much competition, and Dances with Wolves won the Oscar that year, which is also an amazing film. But Joe Pesci did win an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. For me, Goodfellas is about the cinematography. And I don't know if you know it, but the most amazing shot in cinema history is in this movie. And that is when Henry and Karen are going from the car across the street, down the stairs to the Copa, through the kitchen, around the back, through the side kitchen, up, and then they get to their seats. That is one
shot.
single continuous shot. And the more you watch it, and it's not just about Karen and Henry, it's about everyone else doing all their things in the background. The chefs and the waiters and the waitresses, they're all performing flawlessly. And you can watch it over and over again to try to find a mistake, and you can't. But overall, the story, the music, the way that music is used in this movie is pretty amazing. And then you think of all the cultural quotes and memes that came out of this movie. I love it. It's one of those movies when it's on television, I have to stop and drop everything and just watch it over and over again. Yeah, get your shine box. Frank Vincent, the great Frank Vincent.
But what you think I'm a funny? You think I'm a funny? That's it.
What, you think I'm a funny? Do I
think I'm
amuse
a funny
you?
guy?
Do I
Yeah.
amuse you?
I must say, it is on my list, but it's not in this list. But it is on
Mm-hmm.
one of my lists.
They
So yeah,
cross over.
they cross
They
over.
cross
But
over.
this is one of the movies that I thought everybody had seen. It was just because it's just that good, and I didn't realize my girlfriend hadn't, and I was like, "What?" And when
No.
we was like, I was like, "Go watch your list." She went, "I've never seen it." I was like, and I was like, "But you've watched all like The Irishman, you've watched The Departed, all these other
Mm-hmm.
ones," and I was like, "And you like Casino? She loves that." And I was like, "You've not seen Goodfellas?" I was like, "That's it, get DVD." I just stick it on. I was like, "That's it." She was like, "Oh," and then yeah, she loves it. She was like, "Oh yeah, that is the best one."
It
And I
is
was like,
brilliant, isn't
"Yeah."
it?
But yeah, this. I think we said like, what is one movie that you would just, if it's on, you would just sit down and watch.
Yep,
This is probably one. Yeah,
it is.
yeah, it is entertaining. It's not. It's a, I suppose, a crime gangster movie, like how it's portrayed, and it's not ruthless. It's easy to watch, even though there's really nasty bits in it as well. But like, it's very, how it's paced makes it enjoyable to watch as well. So yeah,
And you're
it's all good.
sympathetic to Henry.
Yeah.
You want him to get away at the end when those
Mm.
helicopters are chasing him. And by the way, I know you haven't seen
I love
Clarkson's
that bit.
Farm, but there's a
Yeah.
Clarkson's Farm episode that does a little take on that end scene with the helicopters. So when you watch Clarkson's Farm, you
Yeah.
gotta have that. You gotta watch Clarkson's Farm. I won't spoil it.
Yeah. That is yeah, I remember that bit. Yeah. The I like Dances with Wolves when it came out, but yeah, it's for me now. It's good, but it's not great. That's what I have to say. Dances with Wolves was good, but not. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, they go there. You go. Bendover's
It
right. Yeah, it's
won.
good, but it's not good. Yeah, it's not just. It's a
Yeah.
good movie. Yeah, I wouldn't have said it should have done there, but there's lots in history where the Oscar went. Why did it go there? But yeah, Goodfellas. Yeah, as I said, it's on a list. It's on a list. It's on a list. Yeah, but yeah, it's brilliant. So let's just. Sorry.
All right, you have one left. I think we each have
I
one left,
do.
don't we? And I
Yeah.
thought when we started this that we would have at least 4 or 5 alike, but it looks like we've only had 2. We've only had 2, Yankee
Two.
Doodle
Yeah.
Dandy
Young.
and A Man for All Seasons. So I'm wondering if your
Yeah,
last
they're
movie
probably the
might be on
most
my list.
obscure ones that are on our list as well.
Mhm.
The ones like that. So the ones that they're definitely going to do this one. So this one. Now I love this movie. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and it's a bit of history that not a lot of people go into, and it's The Last Emperor, the last Chinese emperor. It's like, so it's 1987 movie. Now it's got like, it goes from the child emperor, and then all the way through to losing the dynasty, I suppose, like that. But it shows you, as you can see there, this little toddler getting like
Mhm.
adhered as the living god of, like, yeah. But it just shows that whole, the Forbidden City and all that, and it just shows that, like, the behind scenes to it, and it's actually uh done. The story is from I can't remember the guy, the English teacher played by Peter O'Toole, and when he was there, teaching the etiquette of English manners and all that, and of the Western world to the and to the emperor, and actually what he was seeing, and how, and so it's from actually, eyes on, non kind of bias kind of a
Mhm.
narrative, and it's like that. So the history part is, for what they say, is very on point of what, how it was, with all your exposure with concubines and all that in the background and everything like that, and how, there was the Forbidden City and then the rest of China, and they were two completely separate elements. But this is a long movie, but I enjoy every minute to it, because it's told as well, how it's told. From the emperor's, when at the start, he's gone. He's like, he's just a civilian, I suppose you would call it, and he wants to take his own life and all that. And then it's kind of, they realize, the Communist Party has taken kind of control, is like, who are you? And then they, it's then he tells, it's from that my life story as
Mhm.
that. So it's kind of like David Copperfield, I suppose, a little bit. But yeah, I do like this one.
Oh,
So yeah,
I've not seen it. I've seen it on
there
all
you
the
go.
lists, but I've not seen it. So
It
now I will.
yeah, it didn't. I don't think this is one where it's epic. You can see like visually, it would have been amazing on the cinema. But I think
Mm,
it's one of those ones because it's so niche story about uh, a history time. The Chinese history that probably people don't always go to. So yeah, but
right.
it's you will love this movie. I can guarantee, because you're a history geek, you will love it. But just because not just the how it's portrayed, but everything around, like you know, the pizzazz, I suppose, like that, the flamboyancy of like the court and all that, and how they
Oh, I
there's
will like
one,
that.
yeah, there's a lot of it is where they the toddler, he gets a little bit older and he's like he's allowed to hit anybody and they can't do anything, so he's just like doesn't realize he's really hurting these people, but because he's the emperor and he's a toddler,
He's
they
allowed to do
allow
it.
him to do it, and he's like, yeah, you're going to kill somebody in a minute, but it's
Oh my god.
it's there. But yeah, it is a must watch for me. That's probably, if I had to do a top 10, that would be in my top 3 easily.
Nice.
So that's, yeah, it's a good one for me. So
Oh, that's
what's that?
awesome. All right, I'm gonna
I
be
love
obvious.
cowboys and Indians. Everybody loves cowboy and Indians, but I have to go under the Western sections. It's like that. So what's that?
They should make a
Made
movie about Yusuke and his life if they
mm,
haven't already.
there's particularly be movies about every anybody in history would have got, like, anybody famous probably historically and at a high point of their life is going to have some, yeah, probably a biography somewhere about them, even if it's low budget. But yeah, it's going to be. Go on then. So this is your last one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the
Because
obvious, right? There's two that I think are on the top of every,
let's have a look.
the
Ah, yes.
IMF and the BFA list and all of that, but boy, was this impactful. And you used the word a few minutes ago, you used the word epic. And I also struggled with, there are some films that just stand alone, even though you can put them in a category. They are so comprehensive that this to me is an epic, and it's Lawrence of Arabia, of course. Um, you just mentioned Peter O'Toole. I mean, you got Peter O'Toole. You've got Alec Guinness. We've already talked about Alec Guinness. You've got Anthony Quinn and Omar Sharif. You've got amazing cinematography. You've got a fantastic story. 7 Oscars, definitely won Best Picture. The score. I don't think we've said score yet. With Amadeus,
Oh, dear,
obviously
dear.
the music is obvious in Amadeus because it's his music, but the original score for Lawrence of Arabia is just, breathtaking.
Oh, it's the
I
French version, but never. Lawrence
sat
Del
down
Arabia.
to
Sorry.
watch this movie for the first time and thought, "Oh my god, this is a 3-hour movie." It doesn't feel like it. You are sucked in immediately. And the charisma of the actors is what led T.E. Lawrence to be such a successful diplomat, statesman, whatever you want to call him, during his life. And he's a little bit Indiana Jones. But he's a singular character in history. And this movie brought him, larger than life, of course, exaggerated, of course, but his life itself was completely unique and exaggerated as well. And I can't say enough about this movie.
Yeah, this is one, like I always say, if you're into films and you ever want to have a career in films, this is one to watch. If you want to learn how to do cinematography, how to do pan outs, how to do cross feeds or any like focuses, and then this is the movie to watch, because just on that point, every cameraman who must have worked on this must have been so engrossed and doing so
Yeah.
well. It was literally you can't fault this movie just the way it looks. But yeah, the betrayal, Lawrence of Arabia, yeah, it's embellished, like, let's say on this one, like, yeah, slightly, and because it's cinema. It is supposed to be a cinema movie. It's honorable mention of mine just because of that, because they go a little bit overboard on certain points of that. But I love this movie. It is, but yeah, it's an epic. you know, everything like that. And like, I remember it was on one of the UK channels, and it had a warning on it because, you know, because of the Alex Guinness part.
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
was like, oh,
They
because
used a
he's
lot
playing
of
Arrow.
makeup on
Yeah,
some
and
characters. Yeah.
I found that hilarious because this is it is you could even class this like a very niche historical point of time, you know, where it should be, you know, it should be told, not just because, you know, of what it was, but even in cinema, this is what they did. It's, you know, it's what happened. Don't clean over it. Yeah, David Lean, yes,
Mhm.
yes. Um, but yeah, it is a great movie. But yeah, it's a I suppose you could even class this as a classic. I know we said about classics because it does entail so many, like this movie's gone into so many different, you know, cult genres and stuff like
It
that. It's like
does.
even in one of the Alien movies, isn't it? Like the character Lawrence of Arabian, like portrayed by Peter O'Toole, is the droid, isn't it, in Prometheus, I believe. So they kind of plays off that. So that's, you know, the cultural references is everywhere with this movie. So yeah, it might not be culturally correct, but yeah, it's what they did. So just you can't close that point in cinema history, and you can't kind of close it down into what was shown into the this as a history movie. But yeah, it just missed out because it is slightly embellished, just, you know, of what
Yeah.
it was. But it is a great movie. Yeah, I think if you read up about his life story, it is so interesting of what, yeah, say what he did. You say, yeah, it's Lawrence of Arabia, but what he did to do what he did is just it's quite, quite epic.
It's a
Yeah.
story of how and you know, really and truly how one man
Mm.
found a way to influence cultures to work together and essentially laid the groundwork for, you know, part of the way the Middle East is today. Um and and someone who was always thirsting for knowledge, right? He's probably the smartest man in the room, every room he walks into, but he
Yeah.
still wants to learn more. And that, you know, that's just the mark of a great leader.
Mm.
Is yeah, knowing I know my stuff, but I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn from you,
Yeah.
and I'm going to dig in the ground and I'm going to travel the world to better myself. And along the way, you know, I'm going to try to leave my mark. Definitely a you know, a rewatch despite the length of the film. It's
Yeah.
definitely great for a
Yeah.
rewatch too.
Yeah. I like his interactions, say like the subtle interactions with like just the odd characters. You can things like there's the famous bit with the match, isn't there?
Mhm.
It's like that. So it's like that. That's a great interaction. It's like that is great directing as well. It probably it probably didn't happen, but it just makes that movie and it makes it memorable. Like his interactions with like Sir Alex Guinness and stuff like that, they just make that movie, and like the overall arc in story is just good. But those little moments, yeah, makes it, yeah, great director, as Bendover said. Like, yeah, just melds it all together. I think the story is really interesting, but this movie, if I had to say, it's a great. If you took it out of biography and just said, is it a
Mhm.
great movie? It would be up there. It's just all time great movies, and yeah, it's like a must watch if you're into cinema, into movies. This has to be. You know, sod watching Barbie. Go and watch Lawrence of Arabia.
Yes. I wholeheartedly agree. So Stasis, those were so we ended up with only 2 that we had on our list,
Yes.
but tell me about your honorable mentions.
Now, this is well, I now you can see the picture up there. There was a couple. So Elizabeth,
Mhm.
I like both of those versions. The gold, like the golden age one, Elizabeth.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, but I like them because of where their period set. So I didn't put them in. Now I love Stan and Ollie, and I put it in there because probably of nostalgic reasons because of Oliver, the black and white, like the comedy
Mhm.
elements on that. So like the great Way Out West is on there a lot. So it plays on those heartstrings. But I loved it in the cinema when I went to watch it. So that I was like, oh, the things. Frost and Nixon,
Mhm.
another great one.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, so I there's other ones like, yeah, I did put in there Milk, that was up there, and then that's the one I went in and then out. So that I was like, ooh, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mm-hmm.
That's there are great ones in there. I say Frost and Nixon. That is a very niche, unique one because it's literally about the interview and
Mm-hmm.
how that is, but it's very, biographical. It just opens up, everything else about Nixon. Something like that. Yeah, let's have it. Yeah, I say mostly it's like what you can see is like that. So
Yeah.
the Lady, Margaret Thatcher, really great movie, but just
Great performance
yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
do
what's
like the Queen. I see
mm,
that on your. I really enjoyed that,
yeah.
but I'm
Yeah, I
also
say the
waiting
Queen is quite good because that was signed off by the late Her Majesty.
by Her
So
Majesty.
that was they actually signed it off. So it wasn't Hollywood just doing their thing. They
Mm-hmm.
oversaw the actual script and said yes or no, to bits. Was it historically correct? So that's quite good for that point.
So when you bumped Milk, so which one took Milk's place when you bumped it off?
Cromwell.
Cromwell. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, so it's like yes, and I was like, oh no, which one do I enjoy more? And I was like, yeah, no, yeah, I'm going to put Cromwell in. So that
No, that's a
came
good
in.
one. So I have I have a number of those, but I have two made for television movies
Oh,
that I
God,
just
because
want to
I did
mention for
go on.
honorable mentions because to me they were amazing depictions, and our friend EO is going to agree with me on John Adams the miniseries. If you were to say what work of art most accurately depicted the characters and the time, I think John Adams nailed it. And the other one, kind of going from very, very serious to a little bit funny slapstick, is Being the Ricardos, the Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz story. I think it was Amazon Prime production. I had just read the autobiography of Lucille Ball that no one knew existed. It just came, it was just discovered a few years ago.
Mm,
There have been many books written about her, but this was her autobiography that she had nearly finished before she died. And I had just read it and then seeing Being the Ricardos. It was an amazing depiction. Everybody knows Lucille Ball as the queen of comedy, but she was a shrewd businesswoman and she was a model business leader, male or female. She is the reason that Star Trek exists because she and Desi gave creativity a chance in their fledgling studio. And she bankrolled a lot of shows that other networks didn't want or studios didn't want to touch.
mm.
I Spy, Mission Impossible, Star Trek, those sort of things. So she's also the godmother of sci-fi fantasy when you think about it. So that was a really good depiction there.
Yeah, I've never heard that. I've seen the John Adams one, um, uh, on our networks now again, but I've never ever really
It's long.
dived into it. Yeah, it's a
It's
long one. Yeah,
7 hours.
yeah. So yeah, I've not. Yeah, because I think they did like broke it up into parts.
They
Yeah,
did. Yeah, it's
yeah.
like
So
a
like yeah,
7-part miniseries. You can watch it
yeah.
in pieces.
Yeah, like I think I watched was it a document, an actual historical documentary about the court of in France at the
Mhm.
time, and when he visited there to get the fundings
Yeah.
for the things, and it was quite funny because when he turned up to get their point that they hated England so much, Louis made they wear all the cutout of England on their asses. So
Oh
like
my
literally
gosh.
on the
So they
thing,
could
and
sit
then
on the
yeah, but then the 13 states, colonial states, on their breast like that. So I had it on their breast, and then that, and I was like, "What a weird thing for John." I turn him up like, "I'm here for some money. Why have you got like on England on your asses?"
Oh, that's
Like that.
hilarious.
I just thought it was like, what a weird moment that must have been like that. But yeah, it was a. But that was a that documentary. I might have to send it. Was quite interesting because it was showing like uh afterwards, like what he kind of agreed with what the French, and then the backtrack, and then the training
Mhm.
with England, and his kind of involvement in that, kind of like a bit dodgy dealings as well from his side, but still trying to be like the diplomat he was known for. So it's quite interesting on that, how like it was like, yeah, but Britain's economy is still better than the French, so let's do that. It's like
Exactly.
that. Yeah, what's going to keep us
Exactly.
afloat?
It was
But
a
yeah.
great performance by Paul Giamatti,
Mm.
and really, just amazing portrayals of many characters in American, early American history. Um, I have a movie on my honorable mention list. Do we consider a movie a biography if it's not about a human? Because Seabiscuit is a
Oh,
wonderful film. I don't know if you've seen Seabiscuit, but
I
the
have seen Seabiscuit. Yeah,
Story of the
it was nice.
Horse, I love Seabiscuit. And a couple of others. Patton, of course, has to get an honorable mention. La
Yeah.
Bamba, the story of Richie Valens.
That
Um,
I was like, oh, that I might throw that into my musical because it is, but it's it's
a good
biography
one.
musical, but yeah, that is very good movie, a very very good movie.
It's a good one. And
Mm.
then there are two movies that I told you were on my lists of recommendations, and then I didn't even move them to honorable mention. I threw them right in the trash can on a rewatch. And you guessed one of them. We talked about one of them earlier. The Problem of Braveheart, right? When
Yeah.
I saw it originally, it was this amazing, sweeping epic. And on rewatch, not just because it's terribly historically inaccurate, the cinematography is not that great. The
No.
acting is terrible. Why did I think this was a great film? And more importantly, why did it win so many awards? So tell me, Stasis, what happened with Braveheart?
I think it gave at the time this. Well, Mel Gibson was at the top of his game acting wise, getting what he wanted, but it gave, I think, this dream of Scotland,
Yeah.
like this romanticized dream, the hard trodden, the Scots and all that, and the and their fight against the down, the hardened English and all that. And
Mhm.
yeah, and it's where, if you know that period of history, it's so like, oh, put your hands in your head. And it's even like really silly things really piss me off in that movie is
Yeah.
because you're never going to wear a kilt on a horseback because
No.
it's going to chafe. If you, I will give any man go on a kilt, proper kilt, not wear anything, and then try and ride a horse. It's not going to happen, especially if you're galloping. That's
No.
going to rip. Let's just say. And also, the fact is, the one other thing is when they're wearing their face paint
Oh, okay. So
because
what's the deal with that?
it wasn't. It was the wrong way around.
Okay.
Because the English wore the face paint. The reason we wore face
Did
paint is
they?
because we had so many different divisions. So when you looked up, you could see by the faces, they're the archers, they're such and such, like that.
Okay.
So they wore, because we were
Okay.
in kind of what modern, I suppose, later on they would call the squares, they would actually put face paint on the different units in the in the military to actually identify them, because like I said, the Scots were just like a horde that would come towards you mostly. So
Yeah.
that was, that bits were annoying to me, how they kind of de-aged, brought in characters that like were like either too young for that period of time, or were
Mhm.
too old, or in literally weren't alive or weren't born yet. That really annoyed me. So
Okay.
it's just, yeah. And then of course they give, I suppose, if you don't know about the Union of Britain and why it's there, is it makes out that at the end that Scotland's a free nation and it's like it's not part of the British, I say the
Right.
Union, things like that. Because it gives like, and Scotland gave their freedom, and then it should have gone, P.S. Well, actually, this happened afterwards.
Exactly.
Literally like that, because we just went, we're going to leave the French alone for a moment and actually head up north and then give these guys a whipping. And then that's kind of, and then, that's kind of things. And it doesn't go into that bit. So, it's embellished Hollywood, like just a
Mhm.
snippet of romanticized, William Wallace over the top, things like that. Like Robert the Bruce is probably more an interesting character, or Rob Roy, like
Mhm.
those kind of things. But they go, oh, let's romanticize this one, one in history. And it's like, won a major battle, and did probably politically navigate his way in but yeah, it's not what they portrayed in the movie. They made it's
No.
all I'm the downtrodden hero, and it's like that. But yeah, it's I said like Goodfellas is one I would easily rewatch. That it's not just the only Mel Gibson movie historically. I would quickly switch over, and he's made another one that I find absolutely abysmal, and how it ever got made. And you probably know what I'm on about because you're an American.
Not the Patriot.
Not the Patriot. Yes, the
Uh,
Patriot. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
that's hard to watch. Not just because it's so bad. It's
Slanted and
just like
biased.
it's just, what are you doing? It's
It
just
is
like
horrible.
it's horrible. If you respect any lenience of any kind of history, that movie does take the piss.
It does.
Yeah. But it's not
I
that.
mean,
I remember because it was at the time when it was Hollywood. They did that U571, and we
yeah.
banned it in this country because they had to they had to
I
release it with
know
an
they gave the Americans the credit. That is so
yeah, but they
wrong.
had to but they had then put an apology at the beginning because they said we'll put it at the end,
Yep.
and then we no, you got to put it at the beginning. So they had to make an apology to all the Polish that died, or the Brits
Hmm.
who, all the Marines and all that before they could even screen it. I was like, well, fair play, whoever put their foot down there, because it was atrocious.
Well, that movie made me
So
very angry. U571 made me
yeah,
very. There are some movies that just make me want to scream at the screen.
mm,
Um, and we could probably make a list of that. The other one I knocked off my list, and I don't know
sorry,
how you
bend
feel about.
over. I've only seen that movie probably
Oh yeah,
once. Yeah, Apocalyptic. Love
I've
that.
not seen it.
It's quite a hard movie to watch. It's quite slow in parts, but
Hmm.
it's one of his good ones. Yeah, but yeah, directed by him though. It's not he's not in it, is he? So yeah, I think he's directed it. So yeah, go on then. What's the other one?
And I don't know if you've seen it or have an opinion on it. It's Ed Wood. It's kind
Yes,
of at the
Johnny Depp.
so it's at the top of many lists, and I liked it when I saw it. I rewatched
Yeah,
it just last week ahead of this,
it's
and
a weird movie to make though, isn't it? Like whoever signed that is. I always think it's one of those. How did they get money for that? Because the story itself is he's weird, and he's like a very unknown of that time, just like
Mhm.
being bad, like at what he does, and it's just like, yeah, it's a good movie, but it's a weird one. It is a very weird one. It's good to watch. Would I say it's a top one? No, but it is good to watch, and
It
it's like,
got so many
okay.
accolades, but
Yeah,
I
I think
think
'cause it's quirky. I think because it's a bit,
yeah.
oh, that's different. They've gone over there starting, but yeah, Johnny Depp in it is very, very good though, isn't he?
But see, that's my problem. I think it's Johnny Depp being Johnny Depp,
Yeah, I suppose if you
which
look back on it, yeah,
in
like,
Chaplin, there were moments when I thought, "Oh, this is Robert Downey Jr. just
mm,
being Robert doing his shtick," and the
yeah,
Johnny Depp performance is so much like his performance in, like, Willy Wonka,
mm, yeah,
and
it
that
is,
little
yeah.
voice that he does.
Maybe, yeah. I suppose you could
Yeah.
take it in a thing. It's before all those movies, but yeah,
Yeah,
I can see where that, yeah, it might fit into that. But yeah, it's a good movie, but very, very strange. But yeah,
very
but there's other
strange.
like good like biographies, like loosely, like Wolf of Wall Street. I like that movie, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't class it like
Mhm.
it's like, would you go like for a biography? Now, one that I think we'll have to talk to at the end of the year is Napoleon,
And
because that's coming out.
I already I'm going to need some recommendations for a book, a really good book about
Oh, I've
Napoleon
probably got.
because I don't know
Mm,
enough. It's
yeah.
not a period of history that I've studied. So I want to read up on it so that I can go into the movie with, and be critical.
Mm.
Um
I do like, because of course I've done the his tomb and all that, and all the other ones, and
yeah.
like his first grave, and like thing. And there's a great one if you go. Oh, where is it? I can't remember what. It's a British museum, and there's a massive rumor, and it's been like counted upon like by other French people, that the person in the tomb is a British soldier.
Really?
Yeah, because when he got buried originally, he wanted on his tomb Napoleon. That's what he wanted. But
Mm.
because he wasn't royalty at the time, you had to have your full name. So the British were like, he's not royalty.
Oh.
He's not having it. So for years, well, maybe not years, but for a long time, it was just a blank, nothing on it, So
Mm.
he's grave. But when they like kind of dug him up to move him to France, it's a big myth that it was a British like who died, and then they put him in the tomb. So it's like I can't remember his image. They say all
Wow.
that like this soldier died at the same time, and it was kind of it's a big to things. There we go. What's
Ooh,
this?
to look
Chris,
that
there's
one
a
up.
good story about a medic Napoleon who become prospective soldier in British old. And they shot him. There is a good. I can't
Ooh.
remember the. Is it Ian Holmes? There is a movie with Ian Holmes. I'm sure it's called The Emperor's Clothes or The Emperor's Clothing or something like that. It's a bit of a parody, and it's he gets like like to let Napoleon. I think I'm not sure it's Napoleon. He changes like clothes with him, but then the Napoleon like gets arrested or like goes away, so he has to pretend to be Napoleon. And then Napoleon kind of gets put into like the other way, and he just leaves his life, or like a heart attack or something. So it's kind of like bit of
Oh,
like
interesting.
a goofy comedy. I'm sure it's Ian Holmes is in it. It's like really funny, and it's just like what would happen if you kind of like, oh, I've got a lookalike, and the lookalike then died, but
Kind of like
everybody thought
Weekend
he
at
was
Bernie's. Gotta
yeah. So
keep Napoleon alive. Weekend
yeah,
at Napoleon's.
but that movie is going to be I like yours Civil War, like American Civil War period. This is my period. Very I think we both got like 1812 is both a bit
Mm-hmm.
niche, and then go into that I like the periods of history biography. This is one, that Napoleonic War kind of era. How they're going to portray Nelson in it, and Wellington, that'd be interesting. But so that's my periods. Like if so we have to get back to that. But if biography on a person that hasn't been done,
Well,
that'd be good. Yeah.
for me, one of my favorite. Well, there's two of my favorite characters in history, and so Churchill has been portrayed in film multiple times, but has there been a comprehensive biography? I mean, he wrote, voluminously, but he wrote his own biographies. Has it been comprehensively portrayed? I'd like to see that. I'd like to see his early years. And then the other one, which I'm disappointed that it was going to be a feature film, but then they turned it into a television miniseries, is Ulysses S. Grant. For me, the best autobiography ever written by anyone ever is the personal memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant. And there's a whole bunch of reasons we'd take an hour to talk about why it is the best ever written. There was a project that Leonardo DiCaprio was going to play Ulysses S. Grant on film. It got shelved. They turned it into a TV miniseries, which is wonderful, more of a
Yeah, I've seen
documentary.
it. I like it. Yeah, it's
But
quite.
I would like
Yeah.
a Grant film because his
Yeah.
life is amazing. What about you? Who hasn't been on film yet?
Earl of Liverpool, they're mostly Lord Liverpool, Robert Jenkinson.
I have to look that up. I don't know who that is.
Oh, no, you don't know. Yeah,
Nope.
he was prominent prime minister just up to, was it? Let's have a look. And 1812.
Oh,
So
okay.
the same time, like that period onwards. So he's a very influenced and politician for that. What was happening. In Europe at the time. I suppose across the pond as well. So he's a very unsung politician of that kind of the British era like that. But there's quite a lot. Yeah,
You've given me a
like
very long reading list
yeah.
here
But
and
one
a
thing, if I had to
viewing
go
list.
things, is when like Clissu might know this, is when the British sacked Copenhagen. That hasn't been done. I think that would be an epic, more of a war one, but the political side to it is why we did it.
Mhm.
Is quite interesting. It's just to make sure the trade like to Napoleon, and make sure the Danish didn't side with him. It's like that, so it's good. So there we go. Most of Churchill focused on World War
Yeah,
Two.
it
Yeah,
is.
there are some British TV series that do his early life, things like that. And there's because there's one that it's if it happened is about the guy apparently that was his voice, and I can't remember the movie, but there's like a TV movie that it was over here. I think it might be BBC. Is that Churchill had nobody could understand him over the mic, so there was actually somebody who mimicked how he talked,
Whoa, really?
and it actually isn't Churchill that you actually hear, and it's like a if it's true, but yeah, we don't actually know. It's one of those things like BBC kind of closed the curtains, but there was always this person here, nobody knew who he was, and they think that's the person who did the actual voices over the radio.
Ooh, that's a really good tidbit.
Yes, we
From
did, and we'll do
parents,
it again.
well,
That is
we
a
asked
very
you.
interesting history. So like
Well,
that,
well,
what missed out. So, but
the British and the Americans, Klisu, we asked you to sink your own navy first, remember, so that the
yeah,
Germans wouldn't get it. So, we had to come and sink it for you, but we did
so, yeah,
ask politely for you to please scuttle your own fleet.
yeah.
So, yeah, you didn't
But
listen
yeah,
there.
but there is other ones like 7 Years War. I like to do some biography about one of the
Mm.
leaders and get deep in that. You lose that history. There is like
Oh,
Last of the Mohicans. That is probably the best movie of that time, that period, and that
mm-hmm.
is a, a kind of fictional, made up, but historical bits of a novel. So, but yeah, otherwise from that, yeah, it's it's funny, but
Well,
yeah,
most
it's
of America doesn't know about the War of 1812. I only know it, people. My bedroom window grow in the house I grew up in overlooked Fort McHenry. So I saw
yeah.
that flag every day. And in fact, like my granddad would ask me, is the flag still there? And you don't realize what that question means until
Mm.
you learn the national anthem. And it
Yeah, because
outside of our area, no one knows the War of
yeah,
1812.
it's quite funny when I had to explain years ago, like I don't like. Well, Hollywood just called all of Americans dumb, didn't they, through The Witcher? But somebody didn't know that the national anthem wasn't. They thought it was Revolutionary War.
Nope.
And I was like, no, no, you have to go way ahead. They were like, really? And I was like, yeah, that's the meaning to your national anthem. They were like,
September 12th,
I don't, yeah.
1814, Battle of
Yeah, I was like,
Baltimore,
and
you know?
they didn't know it. And I was like, wow, and that's it. But yeah, so that on my one of my other picks was Master and Commander. Now that should be about us against you. Like that, about how they changed it to the French. But that is a good set. If anybody wants the good, like interesting, historically loosely based, but they got
Yeah.
historical bits. So Master and Commander, the lead up to the 1812 wars. That is a really good novel series. There are a lot. I think there's like 12 or 14 books, but if you want to get onto that is I would always recommend. It's like
I
that. It's a
would
bit more fun, but
yeah.
it's really good, what reads. So that is if you like what's he, Bernard Cromwell, like he does all the sharp ones and all he's done all
Sharp's
that. And
great. Oh
yeah,
my
and he did
gosh. They're
did
fantastic.
yeah, there's Sharp is something, it's one of those ones. I know we go a bit of too historical, but things is where I would love them to remake, but then Sean Bean just did
It has
such
to
a
be
great
Sean
job.
Bean.
But that's even in the books.
Yeah.
He changed because the guy originally is from London with a scar down his face in the books, but then he kind of changed the novels to why he has a Yorkshire accent. And I was
Wow.
like, that is brilliant because they don't explain. Yeah, he's from London, but they never explain his accent. And then in it, because Sean Bean done such a great job, they changed it in the books. And I was like, oh, if that I've not read that novel, but I was like, that is brilliant. How he gave a nod to Sean Bean, but he's even said like he just nailed it. He just literally
He did.
that is sharp. Yeah,
He did.
but
Well, how about
yeah,
Riley Ace of Spies?
what's that one?
Oh,
Oh
you didn't see that one. Okay, so that was
no,
Sam Neill. And that was what was that? World War One?
Ace of Spies.
Riley, Ace of Spies. So that wasn't a BBC production. I always thought that was BBC. Why were we getting it on our public television station when I was little?
Mm.
Maybe it wasn't
Oh,
BBC.
83 though. So yeah, that's yeah. I've never heard 12 episodes. It's like a. I'll have to check it out. Yes, yeah. I've not heard of it. Is it a BBC one?
Oh,
TV
it's
miniseries. Is it?
pre World War One. Okay, so Sidney Riley, a Russian-born adventurer. So he's like a double, triple
Yeah.
agent. That's where I first discovered Sam Neill,
Ah.
was on Riley, Ace of Spies. He was good.
Can't remember.
He was good
That's
there.
it. Stands in the border.
Is that your national anthem?
Is that? I don't know. I find it funny. No. Is that it? And oh, it'll be Freya's Hall, isn't it? That is a. It's got to be a Viking song. Is it a Viking song? It's like that. I do like Danish mythology and all that because it's all old by songs. There we go. Yes, yes, it is. Translated into English. There we go. We have to get you on. You can sing some Danish to us.
Nice.
But yeah, Viking. There's unfortunately, I always think like the Viking, like historian, like that kind of thing. I know they had the Vikings, the show that is it's quite good the first couple of series, but it's like the stories of like in the Viking ones were all done by song, so it was never ever written down. So it was just until the Christians kind of got there, and then they started writing it down, and they started like, you know, here's your language written down. It's like that. It was all kind of lost, and it was all the songs. So that's the mythology lost, and that's the same as like why Tolkien did Lord of the Rings, because the English Isles, I suppose, like that at the time, and the Britons, but that all history was lost, and you really only have like the legend of King Arthur, and then the kind of what Tolkien wanted. But yeah, they're off biography, but they're all good. Yeah, nobody wants me singing. I do. You can hold it.
Yes, we do, Clisu.
We do. Yeah. I'll buy you another pizza if you do it. Yeah, we'll get it on stream tomorrow.
2 pizzas on the way for Clisu.
Get some chicken, getting some chicken dips as well, and some things. Or that fermented haggis or whatever. Fermented.
Oh, that was
haggis,
horrible this morning. So if anyone knows what a roll mop is,
yeah, whatever, roll mops or whatever it was.
No, thank you.
But yeah, this has been fun.
This has been fantastic.
Yeah, it has begun. So yeah, I might have to add. So we're gonna come get through, but we might add classics, history, and then what was it? Novels, best adaptation of a novel. That's what then we'll have to add to the list. So we're gonna do that. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun. So it's like that. It's a bit of a down memory lane, but it's all good. It's like that.
I'm so grateful for you inviting me. We've had a few of these conversations on our own, and it's just so nice to be able to really, sit down and dig in, and hopefully, and have others join in on the conversation has been great. So thank you so much.
That's good. Yeah.
We also will have to get back together after Napoleon. So let's sync up and let's do our official.
It's gonna be. I like it. I'm gonna rant and I'm gonna hate it. It's gonna be. But it's. I forgot the guy who directed it. But he did that one. Kingdom of Heaven, didn't he? And he ruined that.
Oh no, so, it's not him. Oh, I didn't like that at all.
No. So I'm like, it's going to be. What's gonna go, but I'm guessing. Sorry,
but Scott. Not him.
So I'm a bit worried that he's going to take a lot of liberties. I'm guessing because Tolkien. Sorry, I was going to go out that Tolkien. Most of his life was in the middle of England, and most of the middle of England has a lot of Viking history. So probably that's why it's a lot of Danish, because a lot of Danes were here. So he probably took a lot of the influence of old Danish, what is like, and like Icelandic and Old English as well. So because he loved all that kind of language, and he loved all the breakdown of the old literatures and all that, and the old folk songs and all that. So probably a lot of that. But Chris, you come in England, go and visit York. That is a field of Viking history. You can see all the old streets of the Vikings and like that. So where it apparently really stunk. But yeah, cool, everybody. Yeah, I hope everybody's enjoyed. I've really enjoyed. Anyway, before we go, everybody, Sandy Q has got a channel, so go and sub over to channel. You're gonna find some. I've watched a lot of. I think I've got like 2 more to go, videos wise, of yours. I think so. I have been watching the
Oh
breakdowns
my
of
gosh.
Civil War. So yeah,
Well,
it's like that.
it's definitely an acquired taste. My
Yeah,
channel is specific to my research. I put it out there just in case anyone's looking for the trails that that I'm researching. But I am making a new video. I'm in the process of making a video on how to use biographies in your research. So on my other channel, which is Primary Sources, that's where I do the more academic research methodology. So I am working based on the inspiration you've given me, James.
yeah.
I'm working on a video on how to use biographies in your research. So
Mm.
thank you so much
No, I
for
must
having
say
me.
that's the thing. But yeah, I always say if you want to get recommended, that's the book you want to get recommended for your
Nice.
channel. That is, I always love that, but it's my go-to. It's like that. So yeah, my geeky Civil War book. That is always I don't know where to put it for yet because it's just a big of a book. So I might have to put it on a table
We
somewhere. But
never
yeah,
have enough room for our books.
I
We
know.
never have
We've
enough
got
room.
so many, like, because it's I've not been long in this new house. We need to get a new a new bookshelf, let's say, because we kind of really filled it up really quirky. And it's quite funny, like you see my books, what are mostly the time period you are into, and then up to Napoleon, and then my girlfriend's ancient Greek and Shakespeare.
Ooh, what a great couple you make. What a
So
fantastic couple you make. And your
yeah.
little one is going to be so well read.
Mm. Yeah, so like if we ever get something, like she asks me what's going on here, and I tell her, and then anything about Homer or the Odyssey or Shakespeare, she's like, no, this happened, and it's like that. So but
What
yeah,
a perfect
hello
couple.
Darth. Not
Oh,
best for
Jean
you.
du Barry.
That is it.
Now I've heard the name. I need to look it
Yeah,
up.
there's loads of Is that coming? Is it not? Is it to be made then, or is it? See, so you could put a history. You could put what was it? The Joan of Arc story. That could have been biography, but could have been.
Some of them
But
are
yeah,
good, some of them are
some of them
bad. The
bad. Yeah,
Messenger I thought was terrible,
the
which was the
messenger.
more
Which one?
recent one, that kind of made her into a, for
Oh, is that
lack of a
like a?
better description, a rock star,
Yeah, yeah. There's some things. Yeah.
more recent depiction. So yeah, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about any of her because
Johnny
there are
Depp is in it. You have
three
to have
or
a look at that. When
four
I
of
say.
hers. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Oh, that's terrible. Oh,
Cool. But yeah, anyway, I hope you've had a good one. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna touch base and see which genres next. I think this has been fun, and I hope you guys have had a lot of fun. But yeah, give us a like if you haven't liked, and go over like Sandy's. Go and like Sandy's.
thank
Don't like
you.
mine. That's it. It is. But yeah, anything else you want to leave on? Anything else you're doing on your channel or anything else?
Just a big, huge thank you. And just a
Mhm.
reminder to everyone to subscribe to your channel if they're not
Hey,
subscribed to your channel already. And make sure you click that
thank you.
notification bell so that you know
Excellent.
every time Stasis is producing. And I love your videos, your
Thank you.
reviews, and these recommendations for film. I think they're fantastic. So
Yeah,
please
I'm
like and
enjoying it.
subscribe.
When I came, like when we, I think we just came up when we were doing Conan or something. I was like, no, that's going to be a good idea. I'm doing it. So, but yeah,
Yes.
good. But yeah, until next time, guys. Yeah, I'm definitely probably going to stream. What's what is tomorrow? Yeah, maybe you might be lucky. Yeah, there's always going to be a video from me. But yeah, give us a like and give us a comment if you want to comment. As always, Stasis Geek out.